Na 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 na.
Coming to you live from the beautiful downtown Phoenix campus at the beautiful Arizona State University, this is episode 10 of the Harris Highlight Show, or as Brady says, the Diaz episode. Now guys, there were a lot of great games this past weekend, but one game in particular that the entire country was watching, and yes, that was the Chattanooga-Weber State game.
Weber.
Weber State.
It is Weber.
Well, tomato, but I'm getting told right now by our producer that that is the incorrect game, and the game that I was supposed to say is Ohio State, Michigan.
Why don't you ask us how we're doing anymore?
I'm doing great.
Anyway,
how about you guys?
So
great.
unfortunately, this was of all weeks for us to not watch a game together. It had to be this one because my goodness, what a game it was! The first overtime game in the history of the rivalry, which I found pretty shocking. But regardless, it was an amazing game. Guys, I really want to hear your thoughts on the game because I don't think we've really talked about it much yet. So who wants to go first?
Shouldn't have been a first down.
I'm going to start off by saying, Wilton Speight, Michigan quarterback, thank you for keeping Ohio State in the game.
Because sure as hell no, it wasn't the kicker.
No.
Also, really quickly, Wilson Speight. He played.
Wilton.
Oh, man, I'm 0 for 2 right now.
Wilson's the brand of football they use.
Very true. Wilson. Anyway, I was shocked to see him go out there and start the game because weren't we talking last week how he probably wasn't going to play? Mm-hmm. I mean, Jim Harbaugh.
When you have a minor injury like that you're able to play through, and you have this magnitude of a game, you're playing.
No, there were reports that he was going to be out for the season with that neck or collarbone or whatever
They made us look stupid.
They did.
They made themselves look stupid.
Well, guys, as Brady mentioned, that kicker, it's a good thing that he made that last-second field goal because if he wouldn't have, let's just say he wouldn't be getting an invite to the parties on Saturday night.
Nope.
Because
there wouldn't have been any parties on Saturday night.
No.
He almost.
Could you imagine how quiet that campus would be?
Oh, I know.
Or vice versa, the riots that would have been going on.
Oh, I know. Now, pretty much, so it was an exciting game, but let's be honest. The first pretty much 4 quarters, it was kind of a snooze fest. Sure, there were some good plays. Jabril Peppers finally got his first interception. We'll get to that later. But there wasn't really anything exciting. So, guys, everyone wants to know. The question I have for you guys, was JT Barrett over the line?
I'm going to start this one off by saying, yes, he was past the line. The ball crossed the plane, so that means automatic first down. He didn't, and by a very small margin. But in that case, I still believe that it would be a first down, and the call was okay.
Go ahead, Lyle. I'll go after you.
No, I'm going to agree with Spence. It was by the smallest margin
it was
anybody
a small
can
margin.
possibly think of. But on a call like that, you have to leave it as it was on the field. You can't go up to the booth and end the game on a couple of inches on a spot of the ball.
I'll tell you this. If that was any other game, any other time of the year, that would have been the end of it. But I agree with you, too. Because I was scrolling through Twitter the other day and saw the, whatever the hell the name of the blimp is this year, Goodyear, All-State. I think it's All-State, actually.
It's a Goodyear. Anyway.
Blimp, whatever the hell it is. I saw the blimp shot of it, straight down. He had the arm out with the ball across the line. And they had the yellow line on there, too. First down, touchdown, game. I think it was the right call. But that one, Jim Harbaugh, obviously not happy about.
I don't know. I think it was really close. I think that, especially when I first saw it, I thought that they made the wrong call. I thought that he was way short of the first down. Looking at it again, I think you can't end the game like that. I think if it was any other game, it would not have. I mean, the game probably would have been over. I think mostly because you guys are all saying Ohio State. I think it should have been short. My initial thought was that he was short, so I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to say that I think he was just barely short.
See, my initial thought, too, was that he was short, but as Brady mentioned, at that point, if it's like the third quarter, something like that, if it's in a different game, sure, make that call. But if they reverse the call and Michigan ends up winning, there's going to be controversy for weeks to come whether or not that was the right call. So, I mean, the next play, Ohio State runs it and wins it. If they just get a field goal on that play and go into another overtime, we're not having this discussion because, we go on and play more. I think it's just the fact that Ohio State ended up winning and that was 4th down and Michigan would have won, which had such controversy. But, I mean, you see all these different angles, and one angle, he looks short. One angle, it looks like he clears it. It just depends on the angle, and there's some Photoshop going on where they're a few inches more past the line. I don't know. My instant reaction was, hey, he didn't make it. But in that kind of a call, there's no way that you can reverse it and give Michigan the win. Well, it was a great game. We'll talk about those two teams in a little bit, but really quickly, there was also another game that happened this past week. It happened Friday night. I mean, I think game is not the proper word because only one of those teams came ready to play, and it wasn't the team we hoped. I said last week that Arizona State is not going to come ready to play and we're going to lose. And I've been saying this for weeks that U of A was going to beat us. Oh, Spencer,
I'm going
okay.
to say that we've been saying it for weeks.
I'm the one that kind of started the trend, but you kind of went along with me.
All right.
I'll take that. Spencer's on my side as well. But my goodness, for those of you who watched the game, we apologize because you did not deserve to watch that train wreck in action. What was the number of rushing yards they allowed? It was 500.
500.
How? How do you allow 500 plus rushing yards?
Brandon Dawkins had less than 70 yards passing too. He just ran the ball all over Arizona State. And the part that really, really upset me was the fact that in the second half, kind of like they've done all years, Arizona State starts to get back in the game. They start to march down the field.
It was down to a touchdown, right?
It was down to either a touchdown or 13.
No, it was a touchdown.
What, was it a touchdown?
Because they're down 14 going into the half, and then they let off with a touchdown.
So they did score to end the half, and then they held Arizona State on Arizona on their first drive, and then they get into within 7 points. And Arizona scores in one play, 70-yard touchdown. It's all right, well, this game's over. Nope, Arizona State drives right back down the field, scores a touchdown. Next play, another 70-yard touchdown. It's going, what the heck is going on with the defense? It's usually the run defense that steps up for ASU if we're looking at defense at all. And it's the run defense, and it wasn't the run defense that came to play.
I mean, DJ Calhoun, the one bright spot for this defense at any point in the season, really had a tough game last Friday against Arizona, and that first touchdown that Brandon Dawkins ran off, it was kind of on him. At least that's what the analysts were saying.
But man, right when he scored that first touchdown, I was watching with my parents, and I was going, well, the tie was nice while it lasted. Yep. And we were 30 seconds into the game that was.
Oh yeah.
But man, I was checking Facebook and just reading all the comments on the Arizona State Facebook pages and whatever, and everyone's just commenting that it's the worst. I mean, I've been a Sun Devil fan for 4 months. But everyone is commenting how it's the worst loss they've ever seen in their history of watching the Sun Devils, and I can agree that team showed no heart. There was nothing there for that team.
I was impressed with Karan Crump, and I was impressed with Fred Gamage. I thought in his last game, Fred Gamage came out, and on offense, he's usually that 4th or 5th receiver, and he came out and had an incredible game. So I think if you look at just Fred Gamage and Karan Crump, if you look at their two stats individually, you'd think Arizona State probably blew them out tonight. And then you look at the team stats and you look at all the other players and you think, what the heck happened?
I feel like we have to look at it from the opponent side, too, that we played U of A, and with their record within conference, and the fact that we gave up 500 yards rushing is only icing on the cake of what the game really was.
I'll be honest with you guys. I watched 4 to 5 minutes of the game.
I
was busy. I was out doing stuff. I had other football going on, but I watched 4 to 5 minutes, and the 5 minutes I watched was the very end of the very beginning of the fourth quarter, when we had a hint of a comeback that just sizzled off.
To sum up really quick what kind of a night it was, Zane Gonzalez missed his only field goal attempt of the night.
That hurt.
Granted, it was 52
It was
yards.
a 52-yarder, but that thing...
2 misses on the air from 52.
But that thing was not even close.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That thing was...
It was after that, because that would have been our first time scoring points, correct? That would have been to get on the board at all. So when he steps up to kick this, and he comes up and he misses that field goal, and I thought, this is going to be a long night.
Yeah, if Mr. Heisman himself is missing field goals, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that was kind of my first sign that we're going to lose. But hey, if you're an Arizona State fan out there, here's what you should be doing this offseason to help your team. Every night before you go to bed, pray for a speedy recovery for Brady White. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to watch any more Manny Wilkins in my next 3 years here.
Oh, I'm with you on that one. I think he's our savior, but man, what started with such promise at 5-1, I don't even. We can have an entire show dedicated to what went wrong with this team because there's just simply too much to explain. But unfortunately, we will not be going bowling. Hey, who knows? Actually, maybe something happens where the committee says, "Hey."
No.
Okay, yeah.
Or
no,
if
good
someone
point.
declines a bowl bid, but I don't see why they would.
Well, it was a very fun season, and
For the first 6 games.
as they all say, we'll get him next year. But let's reel into now the newest playoff rankings that came out, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Really quickly, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Washington. There's your top 4. All right, guys. So, what are your thoughts on the newest playoff rankings? The top 4, the top 6, the top 8, hell, the top 25. What are your thoughts? Let's hear them.
I'm going to start with Florida. Why did they not move?
That's because the committee is just a joke. Florida loses. Okay, if they lost by 1 point or something, okay, don't move them. They lost by 18 to Florida State. Now, granted, being at 15 doesn't really mean much. Maybe they just wanted to keep him at that ranking to make the SEC title game a little more better. I don't know. But come on, you lose by 18 and you don't move? That's ridiculous. But speaking of ridiculous, are these top 4 ratings? I'll tell you why in a bit. But guys, let's hear your 2 cents.
I like the top 4. I'm going to disagree with you. I know you're probably going to touch on and say the USC thing. And I do agree with you. I think USC is easily top 4, probably top 2 teams in the country behind Alabama. They're playing like it. They've proven it, in my opinion, except not against Alabama, but that was a long time ago. We'll forget about that. Just like 2012. Let's all forget about 2012.
Hey, Barkley's looking good.
Matt Barkley, baby. How about that? Surprised me. So I like the top 4. I like Alabama. I like Ohio State. I like that Michigan didn't fall too far. If you're looking at the top 10, I really don't like Colorado. Like I said, I give them complete credit for winning the Pac-12. They earned it. They had an incredible turnaround season, the best season they've had in years, especially since they joined the Pac-12. Predicted to finish 12th out of 12 teams, 6th in the South. I think they had an incredible year. But in my opinion, they've beat, one team over 500? One team over 500. Every team they've beaten has been under 200 by under 500 by at least 2 games. So someone had commented saying that we're not giving enough respect to Colorado, and Blake responded and said why. And I totally agree. I don't think Colorado is good enough to be sitting at that number 8 position. And for some of these crazy, when the possibilities come out about teams making the college football playoff, the fact that Colorado is being thrown in there by some people completely baffles me. I don't understand.
I'm going to hop in on this one right now. So my top 4, I just posted it on Twitter. At number 1, I have Alabama, 2, Ohio State, 3, Michigan, and number 4, USC. Because in my opinion, those are the 4 best teams in the country. I was looking at Colin Cowherd, and he brought up a good point. If we're just going to put the top 4 teams based off of winning their conference championship, what's the point of having a committee then? Exactly. There's honestly no point. If Clemson, Washington, whatever, they win their conference championships and they make it in, okay, great. Then what's the whole point of the committee? This is my 2 cents as well. I remember weeks ago I was making the case for Louisville to be over Clemson, and everybody was attacking me for that, saying, well, Clemson beat Louisville, so there's no way that you can have them over them. Well, USC has beaten Washington pretty convincingly. Colorado, that's when USC was still kind of taken off. They beat them by 5 points.
They did beat them
They beat them.
convincingly.
So USC beat both teams in the Pac-12 title game, both teams that ranked above them. So how can you make the argument to me that Washington or Colorado is a better team than USC? You absolutely cannot. As I've been saying this, USC is one of the hottest teams in the country. So, I'm not saying, top 4, being generous, but USC at least deserves to be above Colorado and Washington if that's the kind of game we're going to play where, well, if you beat this team, you're better than them. Because that's the argument that everyone seems to have. It's either strength of schedule or teams you've beaten. But strength of schedule I'm not even going to care about because everyone's saying, Colorado has a great strength of schedule. Well, they played Michigan, who they got they were in the game in the first half, but they ended up losing by 3 touchdowns. Well, Michigan being ranked when that came out 3rd, that really helps the strength of schedule. Stanford, they're ranked 18th. That's going to help the strength of schedule. They struggled against them. USC's 11th. That helps the strength of schedule. They lost to them. So I'm saying that Colorado has a really good strength of schedule, but they have not shown up to the good teams. I'll be honest, I think Washington is going to annihilate Colorado. Because, hell, even this week against Utah, Colorado squeaked out a win barely, And that's just because Utah fumbled it on their own 5-yard line and Colorado just ran it in for a touchdown. If that doesn't happen, Utah comes out on top. So those are my top 4 teams. Wisconsin, Penn State, I don't think. Okay, winner of the Big Ten, should they be in the top 4? Yes.
Yes.
But you cannot make a case.
But will they?
No.
Well, with the committee, they like that. But you can't make a case that Wisconsin or Penn State is better than Ohio State or Michigan.
Just remember this. They had Texas A&M at 4.
They did, and you're looking at what the power rankings.
Yeah, they're at 34 now.
They're at 34 now. 4 weeks ago, they were number 4 in the nation, and look how far they've fallen. It's pretty pathetic. Blake, I'm glad you pointed out that Stanford game because I completely forgot about Stanford going into Colorado. But yeah, I want to say that they have one big win or 2 big wins right now, and they're Utah and Stanford. And everyone else has been below 500. But I'm glad you pointed that out.
But when they beat Stanford, Stanford wasn't even ranked.
Stanford was not.
So it's
Stanford
not-
was a 500 team.
So it wasn't like at the time, they're beating an 18th ranked Stanford. They were beating a 500 Stanford team by 5. So you can't really give that win much credit. But Lyle, let's hear your thoughts. I know you have stuff to say.
I mean, when I saw them come out today, I think they're about spot on, at least for the top 7 or 8. Yeah, Washington at 4, we all pretty much expected that. But in terms of the upcoming weeks and this week after all the championship games, if UW wins, it's going to be pretty hard to move them out because you just came off a huge win on the road against number 8 Colorado. I know there's all this speculation and talk about you can't leave out the Big Ten champion, but when the fact is you've had 2 straight ranked wins, one of them against the team that's number 8 in the country, when both the teams playing in the Big Ten championship have 2 losses, I just don't think you can move anything in the top 4 unless Clemson or Washington were to lose.
My biggest concern is they got the top 4 right. I agree. But the big thing is there are 2 teams in the top 25 that are on our 2-game losing streak. You have Louisville at 13 who lost to Houston and to Kentucky, and throw in Utah who lost to Oregon and Colorado. And Louisville's at 13, Utah's at 20. They deserve to be in there. But should Louisville be up to 13 and should Utah be over there at 20? Or should those teams be lower? What do you guys think? Because I think they should be lower.
I said last week I think Louisville should be lower because that loss, what was it, a week and a half ago, they did not come up ready to play Kentucky. Kentucky's an okay team, but they lost. And the fact that they're at 13 now, I think is a joke. Another joke is Auburn.
I was just going to say Auburn.
Getting embarrassed by Alabama. They fall 1 spot. We touched on Florida earlier.
I wouldn't say embarrassed. It was 12-30.
I would say embarrassed.
I'm going to say that they're too
Okay, I'm
high
not going to
at
say embarrassed,
14.
maybe because I picked Auburn to win, so maybe
not gonna
I'm
say
embarrassed.
because you're playing the number 1 team in the country and still to lose by 18.
And also,
But still, to rank Auburn at 14, that's the highest rated 4-loss
Yeah.
team in the country. To me, that's a bit high.
Exactly. I think the fact that you have a 4-loss team as high ranked as Auburn, yes, you're playing in the SEC, but as Brady pointed out to me the other day, the SEC is not as powerful as they were at the beginning of the season.
I mean, to
I think
me,
it's
the
pretty
SEC
clear.
doesn't even
I think
matter.
it's
the
looking like-
record that it's the fact that the record's
It's
8-4 and
exactly.
they're 14.
It's the fact that
Throw away
they
the
only
SEC.
have 8 wins. You look at every other team around them except for Florida. Yes, Florida has 8 wins as well, but that 3 losses thing also stands out to me as well.
yeah, the SEC, they have one team in the top, we'll say top 14, we'll take that out. So in the top 13, there's one SEC team. In the top 11, there's 3 Pac-12 teams. And I know, Josh, we've said this weeks ago.
Yep.
Pac-12,
Yep.
not that it's the best conference, but it's the most competitive conference. Like, we've seen any week, any team can win, and it just shows. But really quickly also,
4 Big Ten teams in the top, let's say, 7.
yeah.
Also,
It's
just-
without a doubt the Big Ten is easily the best conference in football this year, and I think one of the only other conferences that can rival them, I think, is the Pac-12.
And going back to the SEC just for a quick sec, outside of Bama, the second most amount of wins that a team has in the conference this year is 8, which is Auburn and Florida and Tennessee.
There you go. But really quickly, I think he just said Big 12 or Big 10. Big 10 is the best conference, but I still think Pac-12 was the most
The
competitive.
Big Ten has 2, 5, 6, 7.
There you go. But like Rutgers, Rutgers is going to lose a game. Like Illinois, like Oregon State,
Rutgers, Illinois, Purdue.
Oregon,
Worst 3 teams in the Big
Oregon State, they beat Oregon, who beat Utah. Like U of A, they beat Arizona State. Like anyone can win in any week. But really quickly though, back to the top 4. I still think USC is a better team than Washington. But if Washington gets into the top 4, I'm not going to be upset.
Oh, no. I
Like-
think as a Pac-12 fan, I think you have to be rooting for Washington, especially at this point of the season.
Mm-hmm.
After USC beat Washington, from that point on, I told Lyle, I've been a Washington fan since that game.
Especially after all what we talked about in previous episodes is the struggles that they've had the last couple of years coming into this new coaching era. What was it, 4 years ago they won 3 games?
Or something like that.
Yeah. So you got to give them, I mean,
And Chris Peterson's
okay,
done a great job.
you might be another Pac-12 fan, you might not hate them, but you got to respect the hell out of them. Because where were they at the beginning of the season?
All right, really quickly, though, before we end it, I do want to point out there's a different team now that's ranked 21. That's LSU. Because for the last 4 weeks or so, Western Michigan has been 21. But look at this. They actually moved up 4 spots in the rankings, which I'm shocked by. I thought that they were going to probably fall after a nice win against Toledo. So it looks like at this point now, Western Michigan, hoping they win against Ohio this week, they're going to have a New Year's Six bowl game.
Looks like it.
So good for them. Row the boat gently down the stream. But hey, look at this. Pittsburgh cracked the top 25 as well. I think, what was it, Josh, last week, saying they were one of the better 4 loss teams in the country. They're getting some love now after a 76-61 victory over Syracuse.
How about that defense?
What game was this? The Pitt game?
Pitt-Syracuse.
There were more points scored in that one than the Syracuse basketball game that day.
Really?
Yep.
Yikes.
At first, when I saw that, I thought it was the basketball score, and I was like, wait, that's a football score? Also, Navy put up 75 against SMU. Some good stuff. But other than that, I have no complaints about the rankings. But it'll be interesting to see this Sunday what happens. But really quickly also, there were some coaching changes that happened this past week. Before we get into the big one that everyone wants to talk about, Coach O stayed at LSU.
Yes.
I think LSU just made the best
Yes.
coaching decision of the offseason
Well
by any
deserved.
college football team.
Well deserved.
He should be the coach at USC right now, but he's not. So I'm glad that when they were talking to other coaches or potentially Tom Herman or whatever going to LSU, I thought that was stupid. I was like, if LSU screws this up with Coach O, I am not gonna respect them. But they made the right call. You can see that the players obviously love him, which I'm not surprised by because I think USC players are still salty that he left. But man, this is a great call, guys. What are your thoughts? I know what Josh's are.
All right, so then if you know what Josh Sarman to swoop in here. So he leaves USC. They decide to pass on him and go with Steve Sarkisian. And Sarkisian offered him a job, and he stormed off, showing signs of his little bit of rage-induced Ole Miss days. They weren't a good team when he was there. So what? Sark offers him a job. He says no, he leaves. He goes to LSU. He comes in as an interim coach again. He does the exact same thing he did at USC. USC's looking at this. As a USC fan, I'm thinking, kind of glad he's not the coach. I like where USC is right now, so I'm going to live in the now. I like it. I like that he's not at USC. However, I've been rooting for him 100% since he left.
What was Coach O's position when he got hired on to be the interim coach at USC?
He wasn't
he athletic director?
No.
Coach O, he was the
I
offensive
think he was
coordinator, right?
he was a defensive coach. He used to be a defensive line coach, and I think he was the defensive coordinator when he got hired. And at that point, you know who the offensive coordinator was? It was Clay Helton. Clay Helton was the offensive coordinator. Orgeron leaves, and Clay Helton has his first stint as head coach for 1 game. So I like the fact that another team did not make, I don't want to say the same mistake, but I guess you could say it was a mistake. So I'm glad that LSU did not follow in USC's path. This is where he's from. This is where he belongs. This is his livelihood. LSU is the perfect embodiment, or Coach O is the perfect embodiment of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, of LSU. If he didn't go to Louisiana Lafayette as a raging Cajun, which is what he is, there's no better school than LSU.
That's why I see nothing wrong with LSU picking up and signing Ed Orgeron as their head coach. He's done a lot for this program, proven his worth, and we can only hope for the future of what LSU Tigers will become in the future because they've had solid wins while he was there when Les Miles was departed, and ever since then he's proven himself. And I think it was a smart choice and obviously an easy one, but I still say the correct one.
People scrutinize him a little for the 2 big games he had to coach in, which were against Florida and Alabama, but I don't scrutinize him at all for those. The Florida game was on, 1 play. Florida made a nice play at the goal line, and that was that.
And if LSU scores 2 touchdowns against Alabama,
right.
they win.
That's the thing. You lost 10-0 against Bama. Their defense put up a show in that game.
True.
So I've been impressed with Orgeron. I think this is well-deserved for him, and I think this is a great decision for the LSU Tigers.
I agree. I mean, he came into this program that was you want to say struggling, but they really weren't. They weren't at their peak.
Struggling for their standards.
Yes, they weren't at the peak and position that they're normally at. And I think the hiring of Orgeron was one of the best decisions that this school has made. And so I think this is going to be great for the school, great for not only the school, the team, but the conference itself. Because you get another big name coach in there who's full of energy, who the players love. I think that's a great thing. But I know we're going to talk about the Texas thing in a second, but I'm going to go to the backside of that is the Houston coaching vacancy. I know we've proposed this for every vacancy and every time we talked about firing a head coach. But does Les Miles land there? Any chance?
No.
Charlie Strong should say, screw you, Texas. I'm
That's what I
going to
said.
Houston. I'm going to lead them to the promised land. But right now, so Tom Herman, I get to get the better job, go after that money. But there's this thing called loyalty, and that is something I think he completely lost credibility for. At the beginning of the season, he said, I don't know what his exact words were, but I remember he said something along the lines of, I want to be here long term. I'm going to be here long term. Like, my heart's with Houston. And the day before he takes the Houston job, or the Texas job, he's interviewed on ESPN in regards to him leaving or anything. He said, if there's anything about me leaving, it's false. I'm staying. Anything you hear is complete, incorrect information. I mean, at least say I'm hearing offers. I can't make any promises. But don't go on live television the day before he knew. Don't announce to the entire country that everything you hear is a lie and that you're staying when the next day you're leaving. I lost all respect to him for that.
I think if you're put in his situation, yes, in some way you have to say, no, right now I'm committed to this. Right now I'm staying with this. But to blatantly say, if you hear this, it is a lie. I am not going anywhere. Not like, I don't know, or not like, I'm committed to this right now. But if you are hearing this, it is a lie. I'm not going anywhere. And less than 24 hours later, he takes a job with a school but in the same state. I think that is messed up. I lost a lot of respect for him, as did his players. And a lot of his players were tweeting things like, wow, or wow, thanks, coach, or guess you was lying to us.
And really, really quickly also, though, they've started losing commits.
Of course they should.
Started losing commits. So not only does that hurt them now, that's going to hurt them in the long run. Because this was a team that was on the come up. They were landing some top recruits. And now, who wants to go to play for Houston now? They lost 3 games this year. They're not the powerhouse that everyone thought they were going to be. Now they don't have Tom Herman. Why am I going to Houston?
Houston and Austin are 164 miles away, by the way. Thanks, Brady.
163.5, but whatever, Josh.
Round up.
Going back to the thing where he said, oh, my job, I'm staying here. Unless you're Nick Saban, your job is on the line. Always. Hell, even if you're Nick Saban, your job's on the line. Always. If you underperform a little bit, you're going to get looked at. There were talks that at the beginning of the year, Clay Helton, gone. Get rid of him. Now look what he's did to this team. This team's turned around at USC. They're a top 10 team, in my opinion. Top 5, in my opinion. But unless you're Nick Saban, you can't say a thing that, there's no rumors that I'm going to be leaving, because there will always be a rumor, no matter what day of the week it is, what time of the year it is, that your job is on the line. There's always someone better.
If I'm Tom Herman, I think he just made a great decision, despite what some people
Well,
are
it is
saying.
a great decision on his part. The only point is the loyalty.
Okay,
I would have gone to
the
Texas.
loyalty's tough,
These hoes ain't
but
loyal.
if you're him, this is when your stock's the highest. Because if you wait around any longer, it's just going to drop, because they're starting to lose games. They lost to Louisville and Memphis to end the year. Greg Ward's a senior. He's going to be gone. So if you're Tom Herman, despite any recruits you might be bringing in, they're not going to be these 5-star recruits that Bama, SC, LSU's landing. They're going to be, middle of the, class in the ESPN 300, and they're not going to be putting up fights and being in the top and, going to the top 10, as opposed to Texas, which is and very well could get back to being one of the white-collar teams in college football. So if you're Tom Herman, your stock's the highest right now. So this is your opportunity. Go get it.
Oh no, we're like I said, I would have taken the job over him. It's just the fact that he lied. Do you honestly think?
Yeah.
It's
like,
not even that
you
he was.
have to.
It's not even that. That's what I said. You have to, but it's not even that he was vague about it. Like, I'm committed to this right now. It's the fact that he blatantly said, if you hear this, you are lying. Or it is a lie. And
He
then
made the
said
reporter
he
look
has
absolutely
He made him
Yeah.
look foolish.
He made him look
And
foolish, and the thing
24
was-
hours later, he takes a new job.
And the thing is, do you think he told I feel like he broke the news. Hey guys, so I'm gonna be the Texas coach later.
Yeah, but even in that media session, you can't say, yeah, I'm going to stay. These reports are a lie. You have to make a firm statement to keep your team focused and still have the trust of your players.
Yeah, and all,
Well,
you,
then
all,
just
you,
say,
all you
I'm-
have to say is, I'm committed to the Houston Cougars football team.
I have one last point in this. I'm incredibly disappointed with the firing of Charlie Strong.
Oh, everyone is.
Because I've said you have to give your recruits time. That is the ideal thing. You have to give your recruits time.
No.
A college football coach should not be judged after 2 years. A college football job, unless you go 0-12 for 2 years and then get rid of them. But I think the minimum time a college football head coach before he's fired, at least 4 years. The time that a player should be able to go through the program to see how they're able to progress, how that coach is able to recruit wherever and whoever. So that's why I think the minimum time a college football head coach should keep their job before they're fired, not giving a different job, is 4 years.
I'm not even- go
I'm
ahead.
totally with you on that because next year, the year after, Texas could go 9-3, and Tom Herman's going to look like the savior of the program when it's Charlie Strong's recruit. So I'm totally with you on the 4 years.
I'm glad he's gone.
I'm a firm believer in 3 strikes and you're out. We were talking about Todd Graham the other day in our football group chat, we're not even going to touch on that right now.
Don't.
But in the group chat, Blake says 3 strikes and you're out. So the conversation ended with Blake saying 3 strikes and you're out. Let's see how he does next year. And I couldn't agree more because right now he's at 2 strikes. He's at last year and he's at this year, where both times they looked good and then fell straight on their backside. Charlie Strong was given 2 strikes. Lane Kiffin at USC, he was given 3 strikes.
Most 2 loss. Over the
Rick Neuheisel was given 3 strikes at UCLA.
Over the 2 seasons that Charlie Strong has been coached, they've lost more games since Texas has started since 1950. They've lost how many games combined?
Like 20, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot for Texas. That's the most since 1950. He's shown no promise.
But why? If
Out
you're,
of all coaches in like
How many
Like-
years?
2 years.
We
I
got a
guess.
fact checker.
14.
However,
Yeah.
you are competing for a bowl game at this point when he gets fired. You have one more game to go. If you win that game, you're bowl eligible. Then you go to the playoff. Or you don't go to the playoff. You go to a bowl game. You try to win that bowl game, and he could still be set up for another year. I don't think you fire him right there. I still think it should be at least 3 strikes.
I'm just going to propose this question really quick, just yes or no. If Houston is undefeated right now, is Tom Herman staying or leaving?
He's staying.
There you go.
Staying.
Perfect. That's what I thought. Tom Herman, screw you. Now, guys, really quickly, everyone wanted to know what our Heisman watch was because it's been a while since we've talked about it. I'm just going to ask for the top 3. Okay, I know Brady said he did a little research, has his top 3.
For
So,
once.
guys, I want to hear you guys' top 3 Heisman because it's actually as close as ever now, in my opinion. So, guys, who are your top 3 people in the Heisman? Let's go.
I'll
Spencer?
start off by saying number 1, Lamar Jackson, no question. 2, I'm going to say Deshaun Watson. And 3, I'm going to say Dalvin Cook.
All right.
I'm going to go with 1, Lamar Jackson, 2, Deshaun Watson, and 3, D.D. Westbrook.
Fair point. I agree.
Mine's exactly the same as yours. We haven't talked about D.D. Westbrook. High five. We haven't talked about D.D. Westbrook much at all so far this college football season, but he has been lighting it up for Oklahoma. I don't know. Baker Mayfield
Him and
is,
Baker are
deserves some credit in there too. But
He has 16 total touchdowns, 1,354 receiving yards, and you have to throw in the 84 rushing yards
yeah,
too.
it's been insane.
I'm gonna say number 1, Lamar Jackson. I think everyone in the country gave the Heisman to him too early, and like we said on this show, it's his to lose. And in my opinion, he's the reason why this is getting a lot closer now, is because I think he is slightly losing it. But as of right now, he still 100% deserves to be number 1 in the Heisman contention. 2, I have Deshaun Watson. He still impresses me every week. And 3, the only other player in the country who has impressed me every single week, even in a loss, that has still looked impressive, Adoree Jackson.
Really shocked. No, but give him some credit. He went off this week in the Notre Dame game. 3 touchdowns in 3 different ways. As mad as I was to see it happen, I was also blown away by Adoree Jackson this weekend.
And I'm not trying to be one of those other people that just is now jumping on the Adoree bandwagon this week, because y'all have heard me say on this show time and time again that Adoree Jackson is just as good, if not better, than Jabril Peppers. So that's why I haven't been putting Jabril in my Heisman contention. So Adoree's been right on the outside for me, and this week jumps him to
Each
3.
won the Defensive Player of the Year in their respective conferences.
Yep.
Number 1, Lamar Jackson. At number 2, I have Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has had a better season, and he's led that team on a nice comeback, in my opinion. Number 3, I'm going to agree with Josh, Adoree Jackson. That game itself that he had this past weekend just earns him the number 3 spot. I mean, those stats, I don't know the exact stats, I forget what they were, but he had a punt return touchdown. What was it? A
Kick
return
return
touchdown
touchdown
and a
and
receiving
receiving
touchdown. Unreal. Lamar Jackson, it's still his to lose. I don't think he's going to lose it because the numbers that he's been putting up are too good to ignore. Yeah, his Louisville team has been slipping, but if you take Lamar Jackson off that Louisville team I think has at least 5 or 6 losses. That's how bad I think they'd be without him. So it just shows how valuable he is. I think we were having this discussion, what was it, yesterday, about most valuable player. He's without a doubt the most valuable player in college football right now, and I honestly don't think anyone else deserves the Heisman. Everyone else is just a nominee, but like I said, Deshaun Watson, there's no way you can say Deshaun Watson deserves the Heisman with the season he's had. Like, he doesn't. So I think it's honestly Lamar's to lose. We'll have to wait and see. We'll find out Monday who the nominees are. It'll be fun to see. But let's hop into the Q&A. Brady, do you have questions ready for us?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love
Yes.
it. I
You're too
love
busy
it.
watching the Clippers
I'm
game.
watching the Clippers game right now, so I have my phone occupied.
I'll tell you this, Blake.
Yes.
And how long did you post this video?
Like 2 hours ago.
152 comments.
Oh, God.
First question comes from Laziness, and I'm being lazy because this is the very first question. Should Ohio State be in no matter the outcome of the conference finals?
Yes.
Yes.
You bet.
I'm going to go with yeah.
Absolutely, yes. If Washington loses, does the winner of the Big Ten title game get in, or does Michigan?
Well, with the committee, I honestly don't know. I think Michigan should get in because Michigan's a better team than Wisconsin or Penn State. But we'll have to wait and see.
I say Michigan.
Michigan.
But again, I think it's.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I
I
wouldn't
think
be surprised, but I think Michigan should.
I think
be.
Michigan is the better team.
Oh, they are.
Winner
Next.
of the Big Ten.
Joe Nem asks us, do you think LSU will rest their players in the bowl game to conserve energy for the battle with Chattanooga on September 19th?
Oh, of course they are. I mean, I know the game is, 9 months away,
They need all the
but
help they can get.
you can't take a risk. Like Leonard Fournette, I think Leonard Fournette is going to go into the draft because he can't handle losing to Chattanooga. So that's a very good question. I didn't really give it that much in-depth analysis, but I do think that LSU does rest their players that bowl game.
I don't think LSU rests their players, and it's going to hurt them in the long run come September next year. Chattanooga Mocs coming in for that dub.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Blake, this one's directly for you, and I know
Oh.
Josh is going to be mad if you don't. Trill Sean asks, can you please make a highlight video of Juju Smith-Schuster?
I got you, man. I got you.
Thank you.
All right, Mickey, one of our female viewers. Applaud.
How's it
Yes.
going, Mickey?
Which team has surprised you most this season? Just give a team, don't say why.
Michigan State.
Has surprised you the most?
Yes.
In a negative way.
In a negative
Okay.
way.
I'm going to say UW.
I'm going to say Colorado.
How can you not say Colorado?
Yeah.
Like we said
Okay.
earlier, but still, look how they've turned their
Just
season
pick a team.
around.
Pick a team.
Yeah,
Colorado.
I'll say UW.
Do Adoree Jackson and Juju Smith come back next year?
Yep.
I think they do.
It's the domino effect. If one comes back, the other comes back. One leaves, they leave.
Richard Nixon asks us, after a weak performance by Heisman frontrunner Zane Legatron Gonzalez, who sneaks in and wins the Heisman? I
Dude,
think we
Richard
talked about
Nixon always asks the best questions.
Daniel Carlson.
No one
Do you think
sneaks
he
in.
steals these questions from people, though?
Next
Do you
question.
think Nixon steals these questions from people?
Next question.
Okay.
I got it.
I know the answer for this one. Who is a better player, Adoree Jackson or Jabril Peppers?
Next question. We
Adoree
already know what the
Jackson.
answer to this one is.
Jabril Salt.
What?
Get out.
Get it? Get it?
I'll give it to Adoree this season.
Who is the best receiver in college football, and who is the most NFL ready? Ask Levi Chromo. I like your picture, by the way. Manute Bol, Muggsy Bogues. Great pick.
I forget it. I should know his name right now, but
Dickie
it's
Westbrook.
it's that Williams guy in Clemson.
Mike Williams?
Mike Williams. My
Mike
goodness, he
Williams
looks
or
good.
Dickie Westbrook.
Also, really quickly, I really need to start getting these names down. The wide receiver for East Carolina that just broke the all-time record, he looks
Yes.
good. He looks good. He's probably going to go mid-late round, but he looks good.
I'm going John Ross and Gabe Marks.
Oh, God. Next question, please.
Not even close.
I gave a tie to both of them.
Not even close.
Where would you,
Hold on, this is some breaking news right now at the Harris Highlight Show. Oregon has just fired Mark Helfrich.
No way. Breaking news.
This is some Harris
they
Highlights
said, They
breaking
said this
news.
was going to happen.
But still.
They said it was going to happen. Like, they said...
Top of the dollar. I bet you Les Miles is going to Oregon.
Oh my
I
god.
bet you $6. Either that or Charlie Strong.
Okay.
Okay,
After one bad
They
year
said
too.
no. But they said they were going to fire Helfrich, and then a report came out a day or two ago where Helfrich goes, "Yeah, I'm going to meet with the AD. We're going to talk some things out." I knew that wasn't going to happen. 4-8. You know, this is 2 bad years in a row. I knew. You know.
all right, so Antonio Lewis asks us, where would you rank Bill Snyder on a list of top coaches? He just earned his 200th win with Kansas State.
I mean,
Solid.
good for him, but what does he have to show for it?
Exactly.
200 wins. John Matters, in your opinion, is Deshaun Watson the more mature, well-rounded quarterback than Jalen Hurts?
I'd say
Can you keep
yes,
that in?
because Deshaun Watson's a redshirt junior, and Jalen's a
True
true
freshman.
freshman. I
True.
didn't know if it was true or redshirt, but
Oh.
yeah, Deshaun's more polished right now, but in the long term, Jalen Hurts is something else. I'm not gonna lie.
Fabulous Burger wants to know, do you see a scenario where Ohio State falls out of the top 4?
There's no way. They're ranked 2 right now. I don't think they're going to fall 3 spots. But then again, I was watching the selection show earlier, and what was it, last or 2 years ago, where
With TCU,
how
oh my God.
how TCU slipped out?
I would have dyed my hair purple if they would have made the playoffs.
Yeah, but that-
TCU,
that-
what you doing?
Yeah, but that was just another. Just
we do it
with-
if UW makes the playoffs then?
So I don't think, but I mean, Ohio State, in my opinion, is the second or third best team in the country. No way they slip out.
Yeah.
Committee, if you don't have Ohio State in the top 4 committee, Jesus, they need some new people.
Yeah, no, I think after that TCU thing happened a couple years ago when they realized how stupid they looked for dropping them 3 spots after a win, they're never going to do that again.
Julio BVT asked us all the way from Mexico, why always does Texas A&M disappoint me?
Because they're A&M and the college football committee's stupid.
Well, Trevor Knight did get hurt, but also they clearly were not the 4th best team in the country, like we all said a million times, and they proved it.
Sebastian Avina asked us, do you think the Trojans can make it to the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, if Washington wins, that season the Rose Bowl.
I think in what world would the college I keep saying this when I explain it. In what world would the Rose Bowl committee look at the Pac-12 championship, look at USC versus Colorado and think, "Oh yeah, let's pick Colorado." Like why?
If the Rose Bowl
Why?
committee does not pick USC Michigan for the top or for the Rose Bowl game, if Michigan doesn't get in, I don't know what they're doing.
USC versus Michigan is the most iconic Rose Bowl matchup of all time. I think it's one of the most iconic bowl matchups of all time. And if you don't get USC and Michigan, then if you get USC and Wisconsin, that's a rematch of last year's Holiday Bowl, which was just weird. So I think your TV ratings are going to be higher for a USC Big Ten matchup than anything with Colorado.
And what a game that would be, too, Michigan-USC.
That'd be great. I'd love to see
I
that.
stopped watching the Clippers game because I thought they were going to lose. Apparently, they just had a game tying 3 to start overtime. Oh, God.
Ryan TKD, who do you think is the best team outside of the top 25?
Arizona State.
Arizona State.
See, that
Notre Dame, baby! Just kidding.
like those kind of questions are too tough because if they're deserving to be in the 25, they would be.
Yeah, exactly.
True that, though.
Chattanooga.
That's deep.
Hey, playoffs.
Deep, my friend.
All right, we got 5 minutes left to
What
questions.
are your thoughts on Colorado quarterback Sefo Lafui? Lufau. Lufau, yes.
Sefo Lufau.
He's good.
They spelled it wrong.
He's really
I like
good.
him. It took him 4 years, but he's good.
I mean, considering that Colorado's 10-2 and probably 85% of that is him, I'm gonna go. Yeah, he's pretty good.
I like the backup, Steven Montez, though.
Should Tennessee fire Butch Jones if they lose their bowl game?
No.
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 Nah, keep him.
Who is your top pick for Coach of the Year?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Matthew McCone.
I
You just spunked.
Man,
punked us all.
I'm just not Chris Peterson, right? That's the name of the Washington coach. I give it to him. Him or the Colorado coach, in my opinion.
I was thinking the same thing.
Mike McIntyre.
Yeah.
Or
It's got to go to Peter.
or also maybe James Franklin at Penn State.
Ooh.
I would say either James Franklin or Chris Peterson, but shout out to McIntyre.
I mean, can you give it to Saban? I mean, the guy's been so good. This is
No.
one of the. I mean, you can't because he does the same thing every year. But this is one of the
Yeah.
best Bama teams we've seen in a long time, in my opinion.
Now, I'm going to mix around this question. The Dalton Gillespie asks us, did Harbaugh get fined? Yes, he did. But what I'm going to ask you guys now is, do you think that coaches should be fined for criticism of referees?
No.
No, if the refs are costing you your season, I think you have the right to say what you want to say.
It depends what you say, but
Well,
yes.
to an extent. You
an
can't
Yeah,
be dropping
if you're-
F-bombs or anything.
If you're
but
calling out
you-
the guy saying, "Yeah, he's a terrible ref. Yeah, I'm gonna go kill his family," or if you're just doing something like that, okay. But if you're just sitting there saying, "Yeah, there were missed calls," you shouldn't be fined for that. But then again, in the
Especially-
NFL, you're fined $15,000 for taking an imaginary photo of someone. So, who knows?
You don't have the rights for that photo. Is what it is.
Pretty much.
Copyrighted or?
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
owned by the NFL.
Yeah.
The photo.
That's what
Do you
it
have the
is.
express written consent of the NFL and CBS?
Oh, probably not.
Just CBS.
Oh, okay, just CBS.
Damn.
Oh.
I do.
Is there any way that Navy can get into a New Year's Six bowl?
No.
No way.
What?
They're like what 18th right now? No, 19th? No way.
Please justify, Ryan Creel wants to ask us, please justify Jabril Peppers' Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year when he had one deflection all year, one interception that came off a tip. He was 32nd in tackles, 34th in sacks, and 4th in tackles for loss.
This man is my god.
In the Big Ten, Josh. Dory doesn't play in the Big Ten.
I'm just saying, this man is my god.
Okay, but he's
That's what
like-
I've been saying all year.
He's the
Yes.
Richard Sherman of college football. People don't throw his way because he's so good.
Yeah, that's true.
I still think Adori's better.
People acknowledge his talent, and that's why they don't throw to him.
Exactly. I'm not discrediting Adoree, but there's a reason people don't ever throw
It's hard to
to
have
where number
stats
5
when
is
You don't have the football.
on his side of the field.
How rigged is the College Football Playoff Committee?
Very.
Not very.
Change the whole staff.
I wouldn't
please.
say
Change
rigged,
the
but
whole
I'd say
staff.
stupid.
The thing that Blake said about Colin Coward was great. If you're going to just put the 4 best games
No,
in
if you're gonna choose the 4 conference winners,
Yes.
why
So what's the
bother
point
having
of
the
it?
committee?
Yes.
The committee's job is to make the tough decisions that they don't want to make. It's to really have the 4 best teams. And like I said, the 4 teams they have right now are not the 4 best teams.
Nope. I think they have 2 or 3 of them, right?
They have Alabama and Ohio State, right?
Yes.
Where do you want to?
Can a team with 2 losses make it into the Final Four?
Yes, without a doubt. Like I said, it doesn't matter what your loss is. It matters of if you're one of the best teams or not.
Can they? Yeah. Will they? UW has to lose, or Clemson.
Why don't you guys actually go to Chattanooga?
I
That's a
wish.
good question.
Because
what
of
college
journalism.
players?
Maurice Kane asks us, who is your sleeper team? That's the only question, but I'm going to add it for the Final Four.
Sleeper team. I just
Penn
gotta.
State.
I gotta give it to Wisconsin or Penn State. Whoever wins that game.
Penn State.
It's the Big Ten.
I
Who
mean, there's only
cares?
7 left that you can really consider.
Penn
as
State.
playoffs,
Just
so.
one of the Big Ten schools that's in the top 10, but not in the top
Penn
4.
State.
Those are
make
your
it play-
sleepers.
Penn
Yes.
State make it playoff.
What would it take for Colorado, Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State to get into the playoffs?
A Clemson loss. A
Hell
Washington.
freezing over.
A lot of help.
A lot.
Yeah, pretty
Not a
much.
lot, actually. Clemson loses, Colorado wins, they're in.
Pretty much. That's honestly the only thing because Alabama's not gonna fall.
All right, last question for the Pick Ems. Should the playoff be extended to more teams?
Oh,
8.
yeah. I thought we were gonna touch about this later, but I completely forgot to touch this up. I think, and after this season, it shows they need to expand it to 8.
Would you like to see something similar to college basketball's March Madness?
Maybe in the
That's
future.
too much.
That's
It'd take 3 years to get it done.
Football's such a toll on your body. It's a lot different than basketball.
I think
I think
eight.
Four
even
teams,
even
that's too many games.
even 8 teams in a playoff is too much.
Oh, no,
football.
no.
no. It's not too many teams. It's too much football. It's too much wear and tear. But yes, 8 teams would work a lot better.
I think 6 would work because then it puts an emphasis on the 1-2. So
True.
1-2 get a bye.
You still want to finish out the season well.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 games on Christmas Eve, 2 games on New Year's, and then you can sell the championship game, whatever it is.
They need to expand though, because 4 is after this year. It is a terrible decision to have 4. Whatever. That thing is on military time. The bells are ringing. That means it is time for the Pick'ems. That point in the show where we completely butcher our picks. Well, all of us do except for Lyle, because Lyle actually makes the smart picks and he makes the show less fun. But we try to pick the games of which teams are going to win. And this weekend we have a surprise guest. His hair is perfect. He's rooting for Colorado. I don't know why.
He looks like Bryce Harper.
He does look like Bryce Harper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Tabor to the studio.
How's it going? This is Tabor Bayless. Tabor, not Skip Bayless.
Good.
There it is.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, perfect. Well, as we always do, we keep tally of the rankings of the Pick'ems. And once again, in first place is Lyle with 74 points. Spencer, you're in second place. You have 68 points.
Thank the Lord.
And in a 3-way tie with 63 is Brady, Josh, and I.
Oh my God.
I will say this, though. Last week, I had a great week for the Pick'ems. I picked all the upset games. The only ones I got wrong were the Michigan-Ohio State game, which Michigan should have won, so I would have had that one. And then I picked Auburn to beat Alabama. That one I will take the L for. But I picked Iowa to upset Nebraska. I picked Georgia Tech to upset Georgia. I picked Air Force to upset Boise State. So, Who's laughing
Still
now?
in third place, bud.
It's tied for third. All right, the first game of the weekend, the MAC Conference Championship, Western Michigan at Ohio.
Roll the boat gently down the stream, knocking over my Cheez-Its. Thank you very much, Brady. Western Michigan, all the way, blowout.
Western Michigan's given me every reason to believe in them this season, and there's no reason to stop now. So, like Josh said, row the boat, Western Michigan.
There's a reason why Western Michigan's undefeated, and they're going to prove it again by playing Ohio.
Row the boat, like Josh said, gently down the stream, except it's going to be fierce and against the other team and into the end zone.
Rapids.
Gotta love the action. I go with Western Michigan. They want Bama.
I like that they want Bama. Ohio, I don't think they can even stand a shot. Western Michigan
Go
takes this
Bobcats.
one easily.
Even though they're gonna lose.
Man, kicking things off right off the bat with a very fun one. Colorado at Washington.
I'm UW's biggest fan this week. I'm going Huskies by 3 touchdowns.
I definitely like UW in this game. I think outside of as long as they can stop Cephalufau, they're going to be in the clear for this game. I don't want to call this game a blowout, but I think UW does win this game handily.
You guys are giving Colorado no credit, but even with that being said, I still think Washington's going to win this game just by a close margin.
I'm going to say Washington in this one. I think Jake Browning is too good. I think he's an elite quarterback now in college football. He doesn't have the wheels, but he has the arm, which is the biggest thing for him. So I say Washington's going to win this game.
Colorado has a top 5 defense in the country. I go with the Buffs in this one.
I have not believed in Colorado at all this year, and I'm still not going to believe in them. I think Washington takes this win. But I appreciate you being so high on them.
I think Buffs they've got a shot at it.
They have a shot. I don't think it's going to be as big of a blowout as we think, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Probably the least exciting game of the week, Kansas State at TCU.
Oh, boy. I'm going Kansas State in this one. I think TCU has been just as disappointing as Michigan State or UCLA or Notre Dame. Throw them in with them, even Texas. So I got to go with the Wildcats. For the Wildcats, right?
Yeah.
Wildcats. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
I'm with you on that. I like Kansas State in this game.
I'm taking TCU. Go Horned Frogs.
It's a battle of the purple, but I'm going to go with TCU in this one.
Big 12 football is a dumpster fire. I'll not watch a single second of this game, but I am from Kansas. I'll go with Kansas State.
Lyle, who'd you choose?
TCU.
No, you picked Kansas
Yeah, I
State.
know. Kansas State.
Sorry.
I'm picking TCU. Temple at Navy.
Navy. I got to go with the midshipmen in this one. It's going to be a great game, but I just don't think Temple has what it takes to take down the midshipmen.
Good game, but I've been overly impressed with Navy this year, so I'm going with Navy.
Temple's been on fire the past few games, but I still think Navy's the better team, so therefore, better team usually wins.
The team that scores more points wins, Spencer. Do you not know how sports works? God damn it. Navy's going to win this one. The midshipmen are going to come in, and I think they're going to easily win this game.
I think Temple has experience in the championship game last year against Houston. I'll go with Temple.
Ooh. Temple's a good team, but Navy's better, so I'm going with Navy. Louisiana Tech at Western Kentucky.
I think this, too, is going to be a very close game, but I have to go with the Western Kentucky University Hilltoppers.
Is this our worst of the worst this week?
There is no worst of the worst. They're all actually good games.
Oh, okay.
It's our unknown versus the other unknown.
Yeah, why not? Western Kentucky plays a couple tough games every year. I'll go with Western Kentucky.
For that very same reason, go Hilltoppers.
My old football coach used to be the defensive coordinator for Western Kentucky, so go Hilltoppers.
Go Hilltoppers, throw back to wonderful Terry in the Bahamas Bowl.
Ooh. My favorite team is the Saints. They're in New Orleans. New Orleans is in Louisiana. I'm going with Louisiana Tech. Oklahoma State at Oklahoma.
I think home field advantage is going to be big in this one. The Battle of Oklahoma, and I think the Sooners take this one.
I'm looking forward to this matchup. Even though it's not technically a conference championship, it's going to be a really good game. The two high-powered offenses.
Oh, they don't have a conference championship. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. The two high-powered offenses, you got Mason Rudolph for Oklahoma State, and you got the big combo of Mixon, Baker Mayfield, and D.D. Westbrook for Oklahoma. It's going to be close, but I'm going to take the Sooners in this game.
Well, I'm going to say this is going to be a really good game. No defense, of course, because Big 12 is a dumpster fire.
Thank you, Tabor. Thank you.
And I'm going to say Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner.
I'm going to go against you guys. I'm going to say Oklahoma State in this game just to try to pull ahead in the points.
I think Oklahoma State's the better team. I'll go with Oklahoma State. I think they had a fluke loss to Central Michigan early in the season. They should be the real contender out of the Big 12.
Yeah, I like that he brought that up because I know you brought it up last week. If Oklahoma State doesn't lose that game, they're in the playoff
they're
talk.
4 right now.
They're in the playoff talk, but as of who's hotter right now, I got to go with Oklahoma. But Oklahoma State, I think that they are one of the better teams in the country that's not getting enough love. Alabama at Florida.
Rope Tide.
It's not even going to be close. Bama's going to manhandle them. I will not say Roll Tide.
Go Alabama.
Well, none of you guys are. You guys are no fun. I was gonna say Roll Tide, hoping we all would, but Roll Tide.
Rope Tide. There we go.
If you're betting, I would bet on Florida because they'll get so many points, and I think Florida has a very good defense. This will be a little bit closer than people are saying, but Alabama will win this one by 3 possessions.
Rope Tide.
Yeah,
Roll
I think people need to put more respect on Florida's name due to the fact that their defense is so good. But it's Alabama. They're going to roll over this game, but I'm not going to say that word.
Rope Tide.
San Diego State at Wyoming.
Ooh, guys, this is gonna. No. I'm gonna go with Wyoming. I like what the Cowboys have done this year.
This
I'm
is
listening to it.
This is essentially
how long
San
it
Diego
lasts.
State's biggest game. And this is where the one time this season we can really look for Donnell Pumphrey to step up in a big-time situation. So I'm going to go with San Diego State.
I'm not only going to say San Diego State for my floor mate Chase, but I'm also going to say San Diego State for Donnell Pumphrey. He's going to snap.
You two just stole my. You two just stole my reasoning for this one. Donnell Pumphrey is going to obliterate this Wyoming team. I think San Diego State will easily handle the Cowboys in this game.
Similar to Penn State, Wyoming's the third best team in their division. They just happen to get the cards rolled in their way. Wyoming lost I believe by like 45 to New Mexico last week. So
Yeah, that was
I'll
not a
take
good
San Diego
game.
State in this one.
I've been high on Wyoming for the last few weeks, but that loss to New Mexico, I don't think that's good for them at all. I got to go with San Diego State in this one. Clemson at Virginia Tech, neutral site, Clemson, Virginia Tech.
I'm going to go with the Tigers. I think they're the better team. I think they've got the better quarterback. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson and Clemson.
This is actually a game that I think will be a little bit closer than people think, because I don't think Clemson's as strong as people like to give them credit for. But having said that, I still like the Tigers in this game.
It's going to be a close game going into the fourth quarter, but I believe Deshaun Watson's going to pull out and win.
Deshaun Watson will have 4 total touchdowns. He's going to run for 2, pass for 2. So I say Clemson's going to win this game.
I retweet what Lyle said. I think that Clemson's not as strong as people think they are. They're similar to a Notre Dame team in 2012. I think that Virginia Tech wins this game, putting Colorado into the playoff.
Either he's going to look like a genius next week, or we're just going to be laughing at him. I like it. I'm not as high on Clemson as any of you guys are. I think Virginia Tech is a pretty good team that could give Clemson a run for their money. But, I mean, you know what? I like chaos. I'm going with Virginia Tech in this one. I think they can do it. I think they can beat Clemson. And for the last one, Wisconsin at Penn State.
I'm going to go with the Badgers in a tight one. I think this one's a nail-biter, comes down to the final few minutes of the game, and I'm going to go with Wisconsin.
I'm with you on that. This is going to be a defensive shootout for sure, and I like Wisconsin, but just barely.
To me, I think that this is going to be a fantastic game from beginning to end, and I think Penn State's going to pull through.
I'm agreeing with Spencer on this one. I think Penn State will come to Lucas Oil Stadium and win the Big Ten championship.
I think Penn State is finally back. A great coaching job by James Franklin.
I do feel that we do not give Penn State enough respect that they deserve, but we do have to remember that Wisconsin, they hung with Ohio State and Michigan. I got to go with the Badgers in this one, but I do not think if they win, they're going to make the college football playoff. As we do every week, Spencer tells us what team he's a fan of this week. I just learned he's an Atlanta Hawks fan today, so
You just now learned that?
add that to another team of teams he has. So he's a Tampa Bay football fan. He's a Chicago baseball
He's also
fan.
a Steelers
He's
football fan.
He's an Atlanta fan. He's a UCLA fan. He's a Maryland fan. He's a Miami
Blake.
fan.
I have class tomorrow morning.
Sorry, you're right, Lyle. Spencer, what team are you going to root for this week?
I don't have any teams, but it's a quick shout out to my friend Blake Bounds, who a couple weeks ago talked about the biggest rivalry in Texas high school, and it turns out his team won 32-30. So,
What are the teams?
but we did win against Sherman Denison.
Oh, yeah.
Dennison and Sherman. So,
Good for them.
yeah, they beat Sherman
Clap it up.
32-30. So congrats to them.
All right, beautiful.
Golf clap.
Only one team?
Only one team.
Only one team. Well, as always, if there's a team you would need Spencer to root for, hit him up in the DMs. His Twitter, his Instagram, his Snapchat,
Please.
SPX09. Men and ladies are welcome, preferably ladies, but hey, men, if you got a team, you slide right in there. He won't bite hard. Now, guys, that does wrap up this week's show. Tabor, thank you for joining us on such short notice.
Thank you, Taylor.
Hopefully Colorado this week can...
Can lose.
Skip Bayless.
See, like I said, either Tabor's going to look like a complete genius at the end of the week, or, he's just like all of us when it comes to making...
I know you're a USC fan, and I think it might kick off the rivalry for me. I think that USC will probably get in the Rose Bowl if Colorado loses this week. I just see.
I think they do too, unless it's close. If Colorado loses closely, I don't think they'll fall 3 rankings where SC can leap them. Because I think the Rose Bowl, it's whoever's the highest ranking then between the two. So I can't see USC hopping above Colorado if it's a close game.
I think the Rose Bowl gets to choose.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, if they choose, it better be
Yeah.
USC, Michigan.
The Rose Bowl committee. I will tell you, I was at the USC Notre Dame game, and there was a Rose Bowl committee car parked right next to me, and it was an official thing. It was a minivan, so it probably doesn't mean anything. They're probably just driving their kids to soccer practice, but it's always a possibility.
Now, Blake, before we go, a lot of comments in the video today, actually, in the Q&A are, when are you going to start making some more highlight videos instead of just a podcast, which we get a lot of positive feedback on them, but... I know I'm talking to you and looking at your computer. It's a really big mess right now, but you have some big videos coming out in the next couple of weeks. You want to give the viewers some sort of insight what you got coming on?
Very correct, Brady. Some great stuff coming this next few weeks. It is winter break, and we have like a 5-week winter break coming up, so that's going to be the time to bust it out. I still have to figure out how I'm going to get my iMac home because I can't bring that on the plane, and I have no car to bring that with me, so that's going to be a journey itself. Some fun stuff, lots of player highlights coming out, great stuff. I just got to say, stay tuned.
Very descriptive.
I don't want to give anything away. It's a very exciting
I don't blame
time.
you. I'm guessing some player highlight videos like usual.
Oh, in the last
The 12 plays of Christmas.
Ooh,
Just one play each week with a different highlight, or each day.
ooh, that's a good idea.
Okay, yeah.
But no, ever since the season,
Good
since the season ended, 3 days ago?
Yeah.
I think I already have 11 or 12 players that have already contacted me for a highlight video.
Any big name guys you can share?
That's information that just has to
Can
be
you give us
classified.
one school? Give us one school.
Texas A&M.
Oh, who cares? I'm just kidding. I love you.
Hey, remember when they were ranked 4th?
The funny thing is, as we were just talking about this about 5 minutes ago, I just got a request from a guy on Kansas State. I think we were just talking about
We
Kansas.
were talking about Kansas
We were talking
State.
about Kansas State, so there we go. Like I said, inside information. But this week is come and gone. Next week, the Bulls are coming out, so that's going to be a fun show. We make our projections, and the Heisman finalists come out as well. We'll see how right we were. And then it's winter break. We have finals next week. God help us all. We'll need all the praying we can get. As always, we're all on Twitter. Links in the bio below. Instagram's bio below. Hell, if you want to follow us on Snapchat and snap us, you go right ahead. Snap us below. As always, you can listen to the show on SoundCloud. Whether you're pumping iron in the gym, making a nice sandwich, or, just getting it on with that special someone, you can listen to the Harris Highlight Show wherever and whenever you are. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. And, Go Sports. Also, really quickly, shout out to Chattanooga. They're playing Sam Houston State next week in the playoffs. So Sam Houston State's undefeated. So hopefully Chattanooga can get this upset. And Austin Rivers shoots a 3, and he misses to
Go Carmel.
shocker right there. Go Carmel. Go Sports. High five. We'll see everyone next week. And
If Colorado makes the Final Four, I expect a 4-minute PSA to open the show.
if they make the Final Four, you're coming back, without a doubt.
You can host the show.
That's pretty much.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Josh. Let's take things back a notch. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Go Sports. Go team. Go. Later.
Bye.